Right, so Bitcoin. Huh. It's been a little crazy lately, and we're going to dive into it today, especially with the election coming up. Yeah, we've got this Decrypt article about Bitcoin's price action, and then a crypto briefing piece on Michael Saylor that's got people talking. So get this, we're going to connect Bitcoin's price, the election, and even like who should be holding your Bitcoin.
It's pretty wild how these things are all kind of tied together, you know? Like, one thing happens and then it ripples out and affects everything else.
For sure. So first, that Bitcoin price action. Decrypt called it a roller coaster, and they're not wrong.
Mm.
It went up past $69,000, almost to its all-time high, and then dropped back down to like 65,160. Even I was a little nervous watching that, and I've been doing this a while.
Right, and the article talks about this liquidity hunt. Basically, when the price dipped, it kind of forced out the traders who were betting too much on it going up, and that pushed the price down even more.
So is that a bad sign for Bitcoin, or is it just how things go sometimes?
It's actually probably a good thing in the long run. Kind of cleans things up and gets rid of some of the risky bets, you know? It could set us up for more steady growth.
Okay, that makes sense. But get this, the Decrypt article is saying that Bitcoin's price could, predict who wins the election. Are you serious? The market knows something we don't.
Well, the market is always trying to predict the future, right? So if people think a candidate who's good for crypto is going to win, they might start buying more Bitcoin, and that pushes the price up.
So is that why they're talking about Trump? The article said if Bitcoin goes above $71,000, it could mean the market thinks Trump's coming back.
Yeah, Trump has said he likes crypto before, and some people think he might make regulations easier if he wins. There's this firm, QCP Capital. They even said that Bitcoin going up recently could be because people are thinking about Trump coming back.
Whoa, hold on. So Bitcoin's like a crystal ball for the election now.
Not exactly a crystal ball, but they do look at all sorts of data, like polls, the economy, what people are saying online, even betting markets. It's complicated, but they're trying to find patterns and figure out what's going to happen.
So, Bitcoin's price is telling us how people are feeling about the election.
It's kind of like that, yeah. But it's not just about feelings. It's about what people actually do with their money. If they think Trump's good for Bitcoin, they might buy more, and that's what moves the price.
Right, but it's not just the election that affects the price, is it? I mean, the Fed and those interest rate decisions, that matters too, right? That Decrypt article mentioned the non-farm payroll data coming out, and that could change what the Fed does.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That data tells us about jobs in the U.S., and the Fed uses that to decide about interest rates.
And if rates go up, doesn't that mean less money going into Bitcoin?
Exactly. It's all connected. The election, the Fed, the global economy, it all affects crypto.
It's crazy how much is going on. Bitcoin's connected to everything.
It is. And that just shows that Bitcoin isn't this little niche thing anymore. It's becoming a bigger and bigger part of the whole financial world.
And that makes me think about Michael Saylor and what that crypto briefing article said about him. All that stuff about who should hold your Bitcoin, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's causing some serious drama in the crypto world. Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy and a huge Bitcoin guy, he said something that a lot of people didn't like.
I'm ready for the drama. Tell me everything. But before we get into it, can we just do a quick recap of what self-custody means? For people who are new to crypto, they might not know.
Sure. So self-custody is when you hold your own Bitcoin keys, which means you have total control over your Bitcoin. It's like a really important idea in crypto, Right. It's about being independent and not relying on banks or anyone else.
But what did Saylor say that messed with that whole idea? Something's about banks, right?
Yeah, it's weird because Saylor's always been all about self-custody. But in this crypto briefing article, he said that the biggest banks should be the ones holding Bitcoin.
What? Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, I need to hear more about this. Let's get into it, but first, a quick word from our sponsors.
Okay, we're back and ready to talk about Michael Saylor. So he said banks should hold Bitcoin. That's like the opposite of what most crypto people believe.
Yeah, it definitely upset a lot of people. Self-custody is super important to a lot of people in the crypto world. It's all about owning your own money and not relying on banks. And then Saylor, who's like, Mr. Bitcoin, comes out saying this.
It's no wonder people are freaking out. Like even Vitalik Buterin, he's the Ethereum guy, he called it batshit insane. That's a pretty strong reaction. Haha.
Yeah, he didn't hold back. And Eric Voorhees, too, he's another big name in crypto. He also said Saylor was wrong.
Yeah.
He said it goes against the whole idea of decentralization, which is like the foundation of crypto.
Okay, so Saylor really messed up. Did he at least try to explain himself, or did he just, pretend it never happened? He did try to clarify, yeah. In the crypto briefing article, he says he still believes in self-custody, But he also says that both people and institutions should be able to choose how they handle their Bitcoin.
So he's saying self-custody is good, but banks are okay too. That's kind of confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit, but I think it makes more sense when you consider what Saylor's trying to do with MicroStrategy. He wants to turn it into a Bitcoin bank. That's his big goal.
Wait, hold on. A Bitcoin bank? What even is that?
Basically, it would offer all kinds of services using Bitcoin, like you could store your Bitcoin there, or get loans, or even use it to make payments. The idea is to combine Bitcoin with the regular financial system, but in a way that still keeps Bitcoin decentralized.
So is that what Saylor's getting at? He needs banks to make his Bitcoin bank work?
Maybe, yeah. And don't forget, MicroStrategy owns a ton of Bitcoin, like over 252,000. So when Saylor says something, people listen. And even though he tried to take it back, I think his comments about banks have made people think about the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like, is Bitcoin going to stay separate from the banks, or are they going to become part of it?
That's the big question, and there's no easy answer. Some people think banks could help Bitcoin grow and reach more people, and they could also make it more secure and regulated, which some people might like.
But wouldn't that ruin the whole point of Bitcoin? It's supposed to be about getting away from banks and having control over your own money.
That's the other side of the argument. A lot of people think banks would just make things worse, they'd add more risk and control, and they might even try to change Bitcoin to make it more like the traditional financial system, which would be bad.
So it's like we're at a crossroads, trying to decide where Bitcoin goes next. Do we let the banks in, or do we stick to the original vision?
It's a tough choice, and everyone has to decide for themselves what they believe.
That's true. And that's what we're trying to do here, give you the information and different perspectives so you can make up your own mind.
Exactly. It's about empowering people to think for themselves.
Okay, so we've talked about Bitcoin's price going up and down, how it might be connected to the election, and then all this drama with Michael Saylor. That's a lot to take in.
It is, and we've only scratched the surface. But hopefully this gives you a good understanding of what's happening with Bitcoin right now.
Definitely. And now for the grand finale, the question that will keep you thinking all week. We talked about Saylor changing his mind about banks and saying he still believes in self-custody. But if he really believes that, why did he say banks should hold Bitcoin in the first place?
That's the million-dollar question. Is Saylor trying to play both sides? Or does he have some secret plan? Is he really a decentralization guy, or is he just playing the game?
I don't know the answer, and I'm not sure anyone does. But that's what makes crypto so interesting. There's always something new to figure out.
Exactly. You got to keep learning and keep asking questions.
So on that note, we'll leave you to think about all this. Our deep dive might be over, but the conversation about Bitcoin never ends. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
All right, so let's take a minute and think about everything we've talked about today. We started with Bitcoin's price, it went up, then it went down, that whole liquidity hunt thing. And then we got into how Bitcoin might be connected to the election and how the market could be showing us who people think is going to win.
Right. And then that led us to Michael Saylor and all that controversy. His comment about banks holding Bitcoin, it really shook things up, especially when it comes to self-custody and decentralization.
Yeah, it's like he threw a curveball and made everyone question what they thought about Bitcoin. Even after he tried to explain himself, it's still kind of weird, right? Like, if he really believes in self-custody, why even mention banks?
It's a good question, and I think it goes back to that tension we've been talking about, this whole battle between the old financial system and the new world of crypto.
So where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway from all of this? I think the main thing is that Bitcoin isn't this isolated thing anymore. It's becoming more and more connected to everything else, the global economy, politics, even philosophy.
It's like Bitcoin is making us look at ourselves and ask some tough questions. Like, how do we want our financial system to work? Who do we trust? What role should technology play?
Exactly. And the answers aren't always easy. There are good arguments for both sides of the self-custody debate. And there are risks and rewards to think about when it comes to Bitcoin being part of the regular financial system. It's up to each person to decide what they believe.
I know I've got a lot to think about after today. This deep dive has definitely raised more questions than answers for me, but in a good way. It makes me want to keep learning and digging deeper.
And that's what we want. This is just the start of your Bitcoin journey. We've given you the basics, some context, and some things to think about. Now it's your turn to explore.
So remember, the future of Bitcoin is happening right now. And what you do, what you choose, and what you understand about it all matters. Stay informed, stay curious, and keep diving deep.